tuned in to the Iittcast, a special report with WD3. It's as a responsible citizen in here in Tulsa and someone who presents Tulsa to the world. We have a situation that we definitely would like to have some Tulsans address. I know a lot of you have seen the tape that we're going to be talking about, but there's more to this story. And we also have a gentleman here very, very connected to the situation. His name is Samuel Trimiar. He was definitely one of the pioneers of Glenpool football for a lot of African Americans in this community. And the situation is very close to him, so we'll have a talk with Sam and get some thoughts from him on the situation. Now, Sam, to our audience here at the Iittcast, take a second to introduce yourself and let us know who you are and how you connected to this situation.
My name is Sammuel Trimiar, from Glenpool, Oklahoma, born and raised. Graduated from there in 1999. Wrestling, football, sports was very big in my life. I have a lot of mentors, a lot of people that came from that town, helped me grow up in this life. In some sense, I felt like I tried to give it back. Some of the young men that are involved with this situation is connected to me in that sense because I've guided them, I've mentored them, I've worked out with them. I like to think that I've gotten to a place where I could say I love them and they love me.
So a lot of the things that folks see on this tape, knowing that you have a close connection with them, when you say mentor, explain a little further, like were they on your team? Did you guys practice together? Do they know your children? How are you guys connected?
So I have a daughter that goes to Glenpool schools. I have a son that I adopted about 3 or 4 years ago that also attends Glenpool. And that's how I approached the boys, how I met the boys. My boy plays football with them. And after getting a little bit of knowing their story and knowing their life, I took a liking to them. When I was growing up myself, I was I got into a little trouble here and there and lost my way sometimes. And, I had some people that kind of stepped in and helped me, get my life back on straight and narrow. So I was just trying to extend that same behavior to these young men.
So for those who are just catching up to speed, this is WD3. You're tuned into a special Iittcast report. We're sitting here with Sammuel Trimiar, and we're reacting to a tape where some guys that Sam mentor cared about, they made a mistake. They said some things on tape, and we just want to put some context to it, and we're allowing Sam. You were contacted by a lot of folks after this tape came out, and I know that affected you. Kind of speak to that and how that affected you.
I mean, growing up in Glenpool, at the time that I was there, there was very few people that have my same kind of complexion, my same skin tone. I dealt with a lot when it comes to racial scenarios. I combated a lot, got in a lot of fights, got kicked out of school here and there. So when I try to relate to what was said in this video by those young men, I know what they were saying really hurt me personally. Really, probably to a point where there ain't nobody I feel like on this planet that got hurt more than myself.
So you took that very, very personal.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's hell. I mean, the language that they use in it, the N-word, in all theory, I'm it. I'm what they were talking about.
So I know a lot of people might say, hey, black people, you use this word all the time. Now, Sam was their mentor. Would you say that was something that they would have seen from you, that type of language or the N-word or anything like that, you being their mentor, and it hurt so much? Is it because that's something they did not learn from you?
Exactly it. They would have never picked that up from me. That's where I guess in some sense I feel like I failed in some sense, and of guiding them and being their mentor. Man, if I would have, because what I've learned from talking to my daughter and talking to other students that attend that school, that this is possibly, you know, some things that's been a pattern of behavior. In a sense of, not in a sense of all out hate in our heart, but more of like, they call each other, you know, faggot, gay, coon, you know, nigga, words that just, man, we as parents, we know it's wrong and we shouldn't be saying, you know, but these kids, you know, when they're playing on their video games, the Fortnite, the modern warfare, they're exchanging these words to each other. In some sense, I believe that has carried over into their regular day life also, you know. But never once have I heard those boys say anything on a racial negativity, especially in my presence.
So if you know them, if you could speak to the general public, look into the camera, and speak on behalf of these boys or on behalf of their families, their parents, what would you say?
Man, I know I was my own personal self in my life. I did a lot of things that were 10 times worse than what was even in that video for those boys. I promise you that. But I got an opportunity to get educated and grow up and mature into a much better man. And I just hope that, you know, in some sense or form, that these young men get an opportunity to do the same thing. You know, I repeat, I mean, nobody is taking this more personal than I have. You know, I've lost sleep on it. I shed tears on it. I've been thinking for days how, you know, to respond to this situation, how best to handle it. And I know if I let my emotions like anger and hate take over for me, those boys are never gonna be able to recover from what they're dealing with. So if in some way, shape, or form I can add and continue on doing what I've been doing with them, I'm not gonna turn my back on them. I'm gonna continue doing what I've always done. And I'm just gonna be better at it.
So with the current climate,
yeah, damn.
moving forward, what do you think, how do you think we can turn this negative into a positive? Because there's a lot of people who would say, hey, you know, why are you sticking up for these kids when there's kids in our community who need sticking up for? But I think this is a good opportunity to really show, like, we're above the petty stuff, and if you really believe in the things that we say we believe in, then we need to exercise some type of forgiveness, reconciliation, and some level of what did we learn out of the situation. What do you want to leave the people with before we get out of here, Sam?
Man, just in the climate we got this country right now, we can't expect, you know, our kids to respond in the same way that we're responding. I think they're just a manifestation of that situation, of what they're seeing and what they're feeling around them. I know those boys pure in their heart are not that way. And I'm gonna work myself every day with them that I can to hopefully show the world that they're not built that way. So.
Well, I mean, that's pretty big of you to come on our show and to do that message. Thanks to Magoo for extending this and the cast. But I would say this as we get out of here. Thank you for tuning in to a special report of the Iittcast. Like we said earlier, there's a lot of big issues out there. This is a lot of things and protests going on, but let's just try to take it situation by situation and be kind to each other and be nice to each other. And hey, if it's time to defend, it's time to defend, but let's be above this and let's teach our children a better way. And I think that's what Sam is trying to do. And here at the Iittcast, we're 100% with that. God bless you all, and let's have a great, great evening.